All right. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone, and thank you, John Robinette, for being here. John is an organizational development and leadership coach with the Center for Leadership and Organizational Change at the University of Maryland. After the death of his wife, Amy Polk, Robinette shifted his focus towards helping people be more successful and find more joy in their careers. He began journaling on his blog, Hole in the Sun, which is hole-in-the-sun.com, about his journey, and has recently contributed to the Elephant Journal. His memoir, Never Stop Dancing, journals his first year after Amy died. Now remarried, John lives in Tacoma Park, Maryland, with his 2 sons. Welcome, John. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Bobby, and thank you all for being with me and letting me be with you today. It's a real privilege, and I mean that sincerely. So I'm going to talk about grief and ritual, and I'm going to come at it from my own personal experience, which I think is what most of these things are. There's a wee little bit of research I'm going to touch on just to show that there's some grounding here and maybe some ideas on how you might use that for yourself. We've got a few minutes I've set aside for a little exercise I'm going to ask you to participate in if you want to. So at the outset, Bobby had said, if you have paper and pen or something to write with, something to write on, will be helpful for that exercise. It'll be just for yourself. There's no expectation that you share it unless you want to. We might get into the conversation and it might be something you do want to share. It's completely up to you. I see some familiar faces, so it's good to see you guys again, and it's nice to meet. Unfortunately, we say that, I'm sorry to meet you, kind of thing. But sincerely, I am glad to be part of this community. It means a lot to me, and I'm amazed how much I learn about myself and my own grief journey each time, even 12 years out. Yeah, let's just roll into this. So I've got a few PowerPoint slides I'm going to share and just talk through. Feel free to add commentary into the chat as we go, or if you have a question, please just either drop it in the chat. I'll try to pay attention. I'll ask Bobby to monitor that as well. And if you want to just take yourself off mute and call something out, just get clarification as we go. That's totally cool too. You won't offend me. So down in Tampa, I did this workshop on grief and ritual, and we did a little exercise as part of it. We're not going to do it the same way. I don't know if any of you were in that one particularly. So it's redesigned for virtual, but we'll sort of go through the content here. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. All right. Now I can't see you guys. Hold on, let me see. Let me get sort of the Zoom frame back up here. All right, everybody sees that? Give me a thumbs up. You got it?
Yep.
Yep, okay, great. So grief and ritual. So this is my family, or this was my family. It's my wife, Amy, in the middle. This was a picture from 2009, and a year later, Amy was gone, and my boys were 6 and 3 when this picture was taken. They were 7 and 4 when she died. And I don't need to tell anybody what that was like. It's horrible in every way, right? Very quickly, I found grasping for anything that felt sturdy, meaningful, you name it. I think one of you mentioned your large support network. I had one too. Amazing neighbors and friends. I was part of a church community, Unitarian Universalist at the time. My family, I'm one of 5 kids. And even with all of that, and people bringing me food and doing my laundry and all that, but I still felt desperately alone and as a solo journey, on a solo journey, right? There's no other way to describe it, I think. And part of it's like, everybody around me didn't know what to do either, right? They were struggling to know what to say or how to help. So fairly quickly, I sort of drifted into writing, like right away. I had a journal and I started a blog. And I'll be honest, if you go to the blog, it's pretty dated at this point. So please go check it out. But I've sort of moved into different journaling for my own personal needs more than anything. And I don't really share it like I used to. Being public about my grief seemed important back then, and that's what I did. I got really physical and worked out a lot. So as a regular routine, going to the gym, but also splitting wood. I started collecting when people would have a tree taken down in our neighborhood. I would collect the stumps, and I just had my backyard was like full of split wood for about a year. And then I wanted to like keep her close. So on the day we met, Amy was wearing this medallion that she had gotten on a trip to Alaska, and I threaded our wedding rings together on it, and I'd wear it and I'd keep it close to my chest. And that brought me comfort. And then there was a time when I felt like I could sort of move on and not wear that all the time. And now I have it in a place in my bedroom, and that's where I know where it is. So that's the comfort that it brings to me. But it was really important for me to have that close to me at that time. We continued to do holidays, and we still hang her stocking up on Christmas. And we're not that religious, really. I mean, not at all, actually. Now, I would say, and I'll use it as a sort of a minor segue. When you think of ritual, we will talk about, if you're in a faith tradition, the value that brings, but also what you can do individually. So I don't want to necessarily say one's better or right. It's pretty much how it works for you. And if you get meaning and comfort through a faith tradition, then do that. Absolutely. And if not, do that too. That's sort of the message, I guess. But anyway, the point is, we still kept having birthdays and holidays and things like that. Those just keep coming on the calendar, right? And so how to incorporate this new experience of grief into that just became a thing for me. And then, orange Milanos were her favorite cookie for some reason. And so we would start eating those on her birthday and stuff like that. And then I also do a workshop on self-care. And so alcohol, I'm not proud of this fact, but this particular scotch was my scotch that I would drink every night at 10 o'clock on my front porch, with or without a friend. That first summer, she died in April. And so like that first summer was just horrible. And that was part of my medication. I don't necessarily recommend it. I'm just trying to be honest about it. That is no longer part of my ritual, and just be careful, right? So anyway, that's more the self-care part. But I became fascinated by this notion of ritual, of like doing recurring things, and it felt really comfortable for me to have something to look forward to. We're going to have orange Milanos on her birthday. I'm going to get up in the morning and get dressed and put the lanyard around my neck. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I've got babysitters coming over so I can go to the gym. Every morning, I'm going to write in my journal. And I didn't really call it ritual then. It was just sort of spontaneous. And then, I don't know, something, after a couple of years, I started thinking about it a little more. It's like, yeah, I'm sort of replacing maybe or substituting or filling in for what maybe would have come from a faith tradition. I have friends who are Jewish, and the tradition of Shiva is maybe one you may be familiar with, but it's very specific on what you do each day, especially that first week, and then it carries on for a full year. And I was really fascinated by that and how it can create something predictable in what is otherwise chaotic, right? And some of you had mentioned sort of this dichotomy feeling or roller coaster, and it's a very true feeling for me too, is just sort of almost the ambiguity of what's happening next. It was so much day to day, but at least I could look forward to a specific event or an occurrence of something. I don't have it on the slide, but another thing I would do is she died on a Thursday, and where we got married outside at a place in Silver Spring, Maryland, and it's about halfway between my house and where my therapist, my grief counselor, was. So every Thursday, and I'd see my shrink on Thursdays, and on a monthly basis, like on the 29th of the month, I would go to a flower store and get roses, and I would just drive to the location where we got married and just drop them on the ground where we stood. I did that for about 4 or 5 months, and then I forgot. Like on month 6, I forgot and I didn't do it. And then I remembered, oh my gosh, I forgot. And at first I felt guilty, and then I thought, well, maybe that's no longer necessary for now, you know? So looking at it a little bit more closely for myself and how it was for meaning for me, I started stumbling upon literature about ritual and grief and the benefit of it. And this is one that, this one came later, but this was an article in the Atlantic, in grief, try personal rituals. And it talks about some emerging research around the value of personal ritual specifically, to differentiate that from rituals that we may inherit from family tradition or faith community or cultural ritual. And the photo here is of the guy washing his car, but he died, and his wife, every Saturday he would wash his car. He just loved this car. I don't remember what kind of car it was, but it was part of his thing, was every Saturday is going to wash the car day. And she just started washing that car every Saturday because that's what needed to happen. He washed that car. And for her, it was a way to sort of honor him and honor what he felt was important and to be close to him. And when I read that, I was just like, it all sort of clicked. It's like, of course, that's why I've been eating orange. Like orange Milano is probably like my 15th favorite cookie, right? Like I wouldn't normally choose, maybe 20th. I wouldn't normally choose that, but I do, right? And I gladly have them on Amy's birthday, even today. And they're hard to find sometimes. I have to I think I had to order them on Amazon during the pandemic. Stuff was hard to get. But I was just like, oh, this is interesting. Washing a car can be a ritual. And there are some other examples that you wouldn't normally associate necessarily with death and grief, but there they are, right? As a way to sort of I'm going to look forward to Saturday when I wash the car, right? We were talking, some of you were mentioning just sort of the minute to minute, day to day. But if we can give ourselves something maybe beyond sort of that threshold of just getting through this hour, might be helpful in that regard too. I did this presentation first, I think like 2018 or 19 at Camp Widow, and I was just curious, like, is there anything new? And earlier today, I was just going through my material, and I just Googled grief ritual, right? And there is tons of material out there, and I don't know if it's more, I just wasn't paying attention to it like I was. Oops, sorry, let me go back. Just moving something on my screen so I can see. But there's like this first one, frontiers.org. This is, I tried to read it. It's a big long research journal article. I didn't read it all. But then if you, and this isn't, you can't scroll, this is PowerPoint, but if you were to do that same Google search, grief and ritual, you would see a whole bunch. And there's articles from Psychology Today and others that are layperson level, like I could read it and understand it. That was helpful because it sort of reaffirmed what I felt, right, and the experience I had, but also gave me some additional tips and ideas to help make it more explicit. And I think that's the other part of the message I want to leave you with, is that because I'm imagining some of you, maybe even all of you, are already doing something ritualistic, whether you name it that or not. And so what I'm suggesting is, whether you create something new or you're already doing something, I think there's some power in being able to label it as a ritual, and the purpose is the purpose and meaning it may be giving you, right? So what I'd like to do then is just, let's talk about language just real quickly. So if you look up the definition of ritual, and what I'd like to do is just sort of, and not to cut out the religious part of it, but just to focus on this part, the individual piece of it, as a solemn ceremony consisting of a series of actions performed according to a prescribed order, right? So there's something that happens A, then B, then C, perhaps at a particular time. So that's what Google, if you know, dictionary.com or whatever gives you. I'd like to expand on that a little bit for where we are in our context here in the conversation today, and to suggest that ritual is something we do to honor and remember those who have died, to honor and recall our own suffering, to hold on to what we want to hold on to, and to let go of what we need to let go of. Right? Because I think sometimes there may be a ritual letting go of, like when I stopped unwittingly, wasn't paying attention, stopped laying roses that where my wife and I got married. Like in hindsight, it would be nice to say, okay, this is the last time I'm going to do it, or now it's going to be once every year on our anniversary day, or something like that, you know. So it'd been nice to have it a little tidier. I don't, you know, I don't hold that as a regret, but that's just sort of how it happened. So just like offer a little bit more language around what ritual has meant for me, at least. And if there's, you know, and you can come up with your own definition, or you don't like mine, that's fine. Come up with your own or use part of it. But I think the key for me, generally speaking, is that it provides some order within the chaos of grief, right? And especially in those first months where it's just, and I know my own experience, I was desperate for, you know, just something I could hang on to, something solid that, you know, seemed like I'd have confidence that it would be there again, you know? So it was in that mindset that these things started to occur to me to do. And then it was later on, I had the language of grief and ritual to sort of assign to it. So that's sort of the presentations. That's like the content piece of this. What I'd like to do now, and just take 5 minutes maybe, because I want to make sure we have enough conversation time, is, and I actually found this recently because I wanted to do something different than what we do in person, because that's tricky to do in the virtual world. But take your piece of paper out, or what you're writing with, if you want to, and if not, you could meditate or breathe, or go to the bathroom if you need to do that. But I invite you to let's take 5 minutes. We'll go to 6:59 on my clock, and to see how well you can answer these questions, or what you might come up with. So what is the meaning of your ritual, and what does that even mean? What's the meaning of it? And it might be to be close to my person. It might be to honor a memory. It might be to honor that person by continuing an activity they were interested in. You know, something like that. So that's sort of what I take as what the meaning would be. When and where will it take place? You know, I'm gonna journal every day at my desk, or I'm going to drive to the beach on the first Saturday of each month, and, you know, whatever we did at the beach, you know, walk and get ice cream. Is it a solo activity? So question 3, do you do this with family? Do you do this with children if you have children? Or is this something you just do quietly on your own? And what is it that you will do? So the specific task. So yeah, let's take a few minutes and give this a try. Maybe experiment with me on this. And if you're already doing something, you want to sort of, you know, deconstruct it and see what the meaning is for you, and all that. That's cool too. You don't have to make up anything new if you don't need to. Okay, about 30 seconds, and then we'll move into conversation. All right. So I think this is where we open up the floor for, I mean, I'd love to hear if anybody has something they want to share regarding ritual, but I think we can open it up for however we want to have conversation. I think, Bobby, I'll turn it back over to you, and this is probably where we turn off the recording.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. And I will stop the recording so folks can share freely.